All right, here we go. Timer starts 20 minutes now. Hello. This is Carlos Fernando Ocon recording in. Now, from your last video, it looked like you were a bit uncomfortable in front of the camera. And I must say that what you said the first time was, you don't have to be good to start, but you got to start to be great. And that's a good mindset to start with, because if you're going to start any endeavors of life, in this case, giving yourself an improv speech for 20 minutes, videos, or whatever, it's good that you have a foundation to see how you can measure yourself for each and every video along your journey. And one thing I want to advise to you, if you want to get better with your communication and expression with confidence and conviction, is simply start with the easiest thing. Take notes and look through it. And the reason being is that if you're going to sit so it's that's one thing that I want you to remember. When you stumble upon your words, don't even worry about it, because just like real life, when you're conversating with somebody, it's not always going to be perfect, and nobody really cares about your tics per se, as long as you are connecting with them genuinely on what you want to say for them. So with that being said, if you have notes in mind that you want to have a good structure on where you want to lead to the conversation, it's very helpful, because sometimes carrying a notebook is just a really cool way to remember some quotes and share some ideas with somebody that you want to advise them with, or just a simple conversation. So for instance, just take one step every day. That, I believe, is a good, simple way. Another way to say, just start somewhere. Wherever you go, you're going to get better as you take more steps along your journey. When you think of your goal or dream, don't look at the entire mountain that you're about to climb. Just find where you're going to put your foot next. It doesn't need to be complicated. The most important thing is have fun in the process of it all. Don't take it too seriously, because honestly, the hardest thing to start anything is really just, again, the start of it all. Because once you get through what I like to call the resistance of it all, it gets easier where you're in the process. And since I have this journal with me, I'll give you a writing example. Say if you want to write something down, you look at a blank page and you don't know what you're going to write or say, or you may have some ideas, but the start of it all is the hardest part. But once you get through the process, it's a lot easier to be in the flow of things once you write it down. So, one other notes that I have with me that I want to help you with, if you aspire to be an improv speaker for the weekly projects that you're doing, here's one thing that I want you to keep in mind. To film a video in a single continuous shot without any edits or cuts, essentially capturing the entire scene in one attempt. The format often emphasizes authenticity, raw energy, and adding a unique element to the video. So that's why I want to encourage you to just keep going on what you want to do, because there is an element of raw connection from just listening and hearing and seeing the person that you're facing at hand. And it's just there's just something about this authenticity that's just I can't even find the right words for it, but it's special. There's just something special about it because you don't know where it's going to lead, and it gives a sense of realness to it. So, yeah. Keep going with that for sure. And you just can't go wrong with just doing this thing. Have fun with it. And one thing that I also want to advise you too, if you want to get better, is that you can take the route of just deliberate practice. Maybe you don't even have to do it once a week to post a video for fun and for ways to measure yourself. I mean, maybe you could just do some practical stuff like deliberate improv speeches for 30 seconds to 2 minutes on whatever topic that you want to get a cue card for. That's what you said. And that's good, helpful advice. Another thing that I want to point out is that, yes, the relatability factor, the style can feel more authentic, relatable, and the viewers as a showcase of creator unfiltered performance. Yeah, the unfiltered performance, it's what makes it even more fun. One example I could give is think of comedians. Comedians, they, of course, memorize their stories and their punchlines, but sometimes the fun part is that they can just say and extract whatever's in their environment and talk along with the audience with the joke. And sometimes it's even more interesting that you have hecklers that just try to mess them up. But them being a communicative comedial experts, they are prepared for people just giving them some nonsensical interruptions, and they actually use that as fuel to let the comedy flow in, and that is what makes it interesting. The rawness and the unfiltered and the performance of it all, because it actually feels real. And again, the word authentic. So yes. And one thing that I noticed, this one particular commenter says, communication is a two-way conversation. Confidence plays a big role on being comfortable with yourself. You don't need to know everything about everything. People don't expect that. Learning from people is what forms friendship. So one thing I want to highlight is you don't need to know everything about anything. People don't expect that. And you know what? That's very, very true. Because no one expects everything about everything. And that's where the ideas makes it interesting when you exchange them with somebody that you're talking with. Because it can broaden your perspective when you exchange conversation. Because think of it this way. The best way to connect with someone is simply listening and questions. It's like the best analogy I could think of is that you are typing something on Google or questioning on a search. They'll give you the answers. Do that. Do the same thing with people. Just simply ask them questions, or yeah, you never know where it's going to lead. Sometimes you might have fun with just that kind of connection to even learn something from them in that manner. But one thing I want to say that he gave good advice on, he says, I feel like you're very self-conscious about yourself at the moment. Watching yourself on the camera screen is not helping. Face it away from you so that way you can concentrate on the lens instead. It may work. See, that's another good sound advice. Sometimes you got to be experimental and try new things, and people could be very cool on just giving you some awesome perspective. And so, on behalf of what he said, I want to thank him for advising you on what you can do to better yourself on this raw performance. And so, how much time do I have? Wow, almost 10 more minutes. Truth be told, I already ran out of material what I want to say because I had a set idea on what I can do to help you out. But what other advice could I help you out with? Oh, yeah, we'll transition to this other idea. If you're going to start with something simple. Your phone is enough to just record yourself and see what you can do to optimize and utilize what you have at hand, because you don't need $1,000 full of equipment to just simply create and go with all the things that, all right, let me rewind back. You don't need all this equipment to just get you know what? Let it roll. Let it roll. See, that's also part of the practice, because you don't need all the equipment to start, because if you really want to get started on just creation, then sometimes all you need is the simple thing like your cell phone. And soon enough, if you want to start upgrading, you can get a microphone, some other fancy tripod stands and things if you want to get better on just creating the way that you want to create with your videos. But if you're going to do an unfiltered raw performance of 20-minute improv speech and refining your verbal craft, then yeah, this is all you need. But eventually, if you have the desire to just create other ways and other styles of videos, then yeah, all those equipments would be a fun way to do that. But hey, just remember, all you got to do is just sit and pretend that you're talking to somebody else. So that's one thing that you should always keep in mind. All right, so what other things that I want to say? And I'm going to use my cheat sheet by looking at some random quotes. Okay, lasting changes come only from consistently choosing different actions. And what's relatable to the topic at hand with that saying? Lasting change only comes from consistently choosing different actions. I guess you can interpret that as refining yourself along the way, choosing different actions to see what betters results, and refining yourself on the skills that you want to do. Because now that I'm thinking about it, talent is overrated per se. And why do I say it that way? Because talent, to me, what that translates to is skill that's developed over time. Because the thing about skill is that you can get better with competency by just practice, more practice, and onward deliberate practice. And what do I mean by that? Let's take this, for instance, on what I'm doing. This is a skill that can easily be developed through practice, because practice makes the master. Practice makes precision. And if you want to be a master of something, teach it. And the reason why teaching is so important, because once you gain all the experience from the thing that you want to get good at, teaching is a way to just get and shuffle files into your higher faculty and sort out and convey your message in an organized manner. And why is that very important? Because it forces you to learn how to just get better on expressing your ideas more precisely. So yeah, that's why teaching is such a fun modality, to just take all the learnings of what you experience and putting them all together and packaging it. I was going to get a box, but I couldn't find it. Packaging it and then sending it out and giving the information to somebody that wants it or needs it. So yeah. And the best way to have wisdom is experience, really. One thing that I'm remembering is that if you are gonna want to be a person of wisdom, you gotta do the thing. Do the thing, and you shall have the power. Experience trumps ideas, theories, and what you read. And overall, that's why it's good to talk to other people, because it'll give you a sense of what you... All right, let me rewind back. The reason why it's also awesome to talk and teach with people is that whatever you learn, it's going to stay with you and retain things better when you express yourself in that manner. So that's my other advice to you, because once you have all that experience, you can get better and just saying how it is and how you can do it by those experience. So how long do I have? 2 more minutes. What other fuel do I have left? All right. I wish I had a cue card right now, because this would be a good way to just fill in the gap and give myself a good improv speech at this moment. But if I were to think things out of the air, maybe if I can look through my cheat sheet, I'm just calling it that way for fun. Let's see. Never lose yourself. Wow. That's really powerful. I guess one thing I can just express from that, not to lose yourself, it's just, if there's something you really desire to do, I say go for it. Don't be afraid to do what your heart sets to do, in creation and connection and exploration and curiosity for the world. And it's just a beautiful process to behold. And you're taking a brave step to just show yourself to the world on what you intend to do. I'm proud of you. And How much more time do I have? In any case, Bux Corp, I believe that's your name. Thanks for the advice, and that's it for now. 20 minutes is gone. And this is Carlos Fernando Ocon recording out. Later.